The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Governor Diri of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, winner of Saturday's governorship election in Bayelsa State. The returning officer, Professor Kuta Farouk, announced that Diri polled 175,196 votes to defeat his closest rival, Chief Timi Presiva of the All Progressives Congress, APC, who scored 110,108 votes. The candidate of the Labour Party, LP, Udengse Radiri, came a distant third with 905 votes. Meanwhile, 7 political parties that participated in the election have rejected the declaration of Diri as the winner, citing irregularities and cancellation of votes by INEC, where opposition political parties in the state won during the polls. However, Bayelsa State Governor-elect Diri has described his victory as a collective will of the people. Diri spoke shortly after he was declared winner of the election by the electoral body, INEC. He polled over 175,000 votes to beat his closest rival, APC's Timi Presiva. Ovieteme George, Arise news correspondent in Bayelsa State, reports.
That Diri of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
That was the moment for the man of the moment. Governor Diri and his political associates congratulate him at the Bayelsa PDP Governorship Situation Room in Yenagoa, the state capital.
I urge you all to celebrate with temperance, as this victory is not the exclusive preserve of any one political party. Rather, it is the collective will of the people of Bayelsa State, united towards progress and a better future for our state. I reaffirm that I will continue to be the governor of all in Bayelsa State. Where there is darkness, let us bring light. And where there is hatred, let us bring love. We are too few as a people to be polarized and fractionalized along political, clan, and other primordial ranks. My determination in fostering unity and inclusivity as we strive to achieve the shared goals and aspirations of our people is undiminished.
The governors of Delta and Taraba states are with their Bayelsa counterparts in solidarity.
My gratitude to the Almighty God for a successful and victorious election. This victory is not for the governor alone. It's a victory for the whole people of Bayelsa State. And I want to assure you, with the short discussions we've had over this time, his second tenure will be better than his first tenure.
Amen. I'm very happy for this victory, because when you are loved by your people, no matter the intimidation, no matter the harassment, they must always stand by you. The people of Bayelsa are spoken, and that's the victory we have seen today.
On such occasion, congratulations from his party members do not come in short supply.
Somebody come to election with only one option. The option is to use violence and force to win. You see, we used to say, the essence of seeking for political power is to serve us, is it not? If you kill me, whom will you serve? So today we thank God for bringing victory.
Bayelsas has gotten that trust they needed from political leaders. That's why they are renewing the social contract they had with him in 2019 and renewed it again in 2023, believing that he is the right man to deliver the dividends of democracy for Bayelsans.
There are physical signs, there are physical structures that shows that a man who believes in the people is actually working and has come to work. And so for the 4 years again, we believe that it will take us, much further.
Bayelsa is what it is as a result of PDP. And Bayelsans will never, ever let PDP down. You can see the result now. I want to thank the entire Bayelsans, both even the PDP and the APC people. Of course, you heard what the governor said. He's a governor for all.
Months of intense politicking and campaigning to the hinterlands of the 8 local government areas of Bayelsa State have come to an end. But when the shouting dies down, when the music stops, what continues is the business of governance for a state yearning for growth and development. And Governor Diri has that responsibility for the next 4 years. Ofieteme George, Arise News.
Joining us now on the morning show from Yenagoa is Solomon Agwana, Chairman, People's Democratic Party, Bayelsa State. Mr. Agwana, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Well, Governor Diri has said that his victory is a reflection of the collective will of the people of Bayelsa State. But at the same time, we are being told that 7 political parties that participated in that election have rejected the results. And notably, Chief Dennis Otutu, Chairman of the APC and polling agent of the APC at the Collation Center, has also said that his party actually won the election because, according to him, 84,086 votes were deducted from the APC in Nembe and Southern Ijo. And if those 84,000 plus votes were not cancelled, it would be APC that will have won. And for that reason, he refused to sign the result sheet. Do you still hold on to the position that that election in Bayelsa State truly reflected the collective will of the people, as the governor said?
It exactly reflected the true will of the people, because all the votes we earned that declared him were legitimate and legal votes. What the APC coalition agent and chairman alleged were a bit trying to subvert the will of the people by attempting to bring in unlawful votes that is not recognized by INEC. You are aware, prior to the election, those areas you mentioned were already polarized by way of insecurity. And most of our persons, particularly Basambri, Nembe, and the other adjoining communities, and part of where the APC candidate come from, which is Okpoma and Owoma, our electoral officers were abducted. Our agents were not allowed to go and perform the duties that has been assigned to them by the party. So in the wisdom of INEC and in line with the Constitution and the act that empowers them, those votes were not legal votes. Hence, those votes were not recorded. So his claim, usually, we are aware that illegitimate votes or unlawful votes ought not to be counted in this election. And that, I believe, is what has exposed the APC and its candidate to the entire Nigerian public.
Okay. Let's talk about the killings, the needless killings in this election in Bayelsa State. Who are you going to blame for it?
Well, we are all aware that the APC candidate and the supporters were not ready for peaceful and credible election. Like I just referenced the case in point in Nebe Basambri and Brass in particular, because we had even finished the elections in part of Brass. As we are about collating those results, APC, it was an APC thug. The security officials have the facts. APC thug stabbed one of our youth leaders that attempted to prevent them from bringing those unlawful votes. So, in fact, if you hear the opinion of all other well-meaning Bayelsans, they will tell you that APC was not ready for this election. They came with just one option: to try to scare, intimidate, and deploy violence in bringing in results that does not exist. That was really what happened.
So the person died, right? The person that was stabbed died?
Yes, the youth leader died. He was stabbed to death instantly while collation was about to commence in Brass local government.
Well, you said unlawful votes, illegitimate votes. Well, that's to be determined by the INEC returning officer. And we have had similar cases in other parts of the country whereby a matter like this went to court. Obviously, by refusing to sign the result sheet, it looks like the APC is going to go to the tribunal. And with a margin of lead so narrow, do you have any anxieties that if the matter goes to the tribunal, that the PDP in Bayelsa State may be confronted with a different kind of outcome? Are you anxious? Particularly as the margin of lead is it's not so wide as you have, say, in Imo State.
All right, about you. We are not worried at all with the claims of the APC because the INEC knew that those votes they allegedly claimed they earned were valid votes. They were unlawful. And it was proven, hence they were not recorded. So if they go to court, in fact, the processes that led to those votes will be exposed in court because they bypassed the beavers. And what was the reason for cancellation? INEC said it's in their act. Once there is violence and clear case of adoption of electoral officers, votes that they claim to earn would not be recorded. All political parties will be given 0 votes. And that was the rule. So if they are not ready to play by the rule, well, the onus is on INEC to justify what they have done if they go to court. So we are quite optimistic that votes that led to the declaration of Diri as the governor is legitimate and valid. I will be able to prove our case beyond all reasonable doubts in the tribunal. So we are not worried at all.
So there were also counter-accusations against the PDP too by the APC yesterday, pretty much along the lines of high-handedness and pretty much using the power of incumbency. What would you have to say about that? Also, I'd like to ask you, why was the PDP protesting before the election results came out? Or even when Diri was leading in the election, why was PDP protesting?
Yeah, the protest was as a result of those hijacked materials that they used in generating those votes. We needed to make a statement, clear statement to INEC by way of protest. The votes that they allegedly earned were not legitimate votes. And the only way a responsible party and a party that is government ought to do is to protest to INEC with the facts. And that's what we did. And INEC, in fact, queried the beavers and came to the conclusion that such votes does not exist. And possibly, because of the suspicion on the air, we just wanted to be sure that INEC would not be compelled to act otherwise. And that was the reason of our protest.
Okay, so how about the allegations the APC too put at the doorstep of the PDP of being high-handed and all of that? Because you can't say that the APC too does not have a right of grouse.
Well, they do, but I think they were unable to substantiate any evidence to the claim that they advanced. You see, if you're talking of high-handedness in an election, you're supposed to substantiate it with evidence. There was no such evidence. It's just an allegation. If you look at what transpired in the coalition room, you could clearly observe that the issues raised were not with, there was no specific query on all the results that we brought, because all the local governments that we won, like the APC knew, even what the local government allegedly won, were still part of illegal votes that the INEC magnanimously accepted, because we don't want a situation where one election will now mar the gains and particularly the peace and security that Bayelsas enjoy here. And I believe you know that the governor's disposition is for peaceful conduct in all areas of our human endeavor in this state, particularly this time of election. So we are still challenging the APC to come up with clear evidence if they have any. And we are ready to defend ourselves in the tribunal.
Chairman, can we have an idea of how much it cost the PDP in Bayelsa State to facilitate things during the Saturday elections in Bayelsa State? Because, on election day, you still have to spend money. How much did you have to spend?
No, Ruben, you are very much aware that these states, we don't have resources to deploy. We don't have resources. The little resources we have is for development. So if anybody told you that resources were deployed for election, tell that person to bring a proof of evidence. Because, you see, when you are in government, your policies and programs certainly has to connect with the people. And that was what the people voted for. And that was why they stood to defend their vote. We did not spend any resources in mobilizing anybody. It was freely, they went to their respective wards and cast their votes and stood there to defend it. And that was why we won. They that had resources to deploy, perhaps they that have resources to deploy, perhaps we have no knowledge of their source of resources. But to me, PDP did not deploy any resources.
But
it's a human being that is our resources.
No, but Diri, who came third in that election, the candidate of the Labour Party, said the people of Bayelsa came out to vote for money, not necessarily for candidates. And he lamented that there was a lot of vote buying going on, even on election day, and that he did not have any money to buy votes. So the suggestion is that whoever wins the election will have facilitated things with cash. So
Ruben, you would have asked the Labour Party candidate, you would have asked him if he had won, would it be that he bought votes? That's why they voted for him. You would have asked him the question now. If he had won the election, it means he bought votes. When you lose an election, when you lose an election, you certainly want to come up with excuses. I don't think what he tendered is tenable in this sense of vote buying. If he has any evidence, he should bring proof. And the law enforcement agents will certainly carry out their constitutional duty.
So a couple of things. You said Bayelsa does not have resources. That's not true. Bayelsa earns one of the biggest allocations.
We don't have resources to deploy for elections.
Let me finish. Bayelsa earns one of the biggest FAC revenue in this country, coupled with derivation that they get and other things. So cumulatively, in the last year, was over 300 billion. As of 2020, it was well over 100 billion when you cumulate it yearly. That's what Bayelsa earned. But two allegations for you. Number one, why is that despite these humongous earnings, a lot of people are still blighting the PDP?
Again.
Hang on a minute.
Trying to put a question.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? So my question is, why is that despite these humongous earnings, that Bayelsa, the developmental prospect is still pretty much low in Bayelsa? And that's what a lot of people are saying against this, even PDP government that finally did win, that there's still a lot more that needs to be done. That's number one. Number two, will be the allegations of 100 million naira. Okay, you cannot hear me. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Okay, welcome back. We'll still have Solomon Agwana. Can you hear me now, sir? Mr.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. So I said, Bayelsa gets a lot in FAC allocation in terms of governmental revenue. A lot of money pours in. In fact, in the first half of the year, last year, about 95 billion had already come in between January and June. Your state is part of those states high up there that get a lot of revenue from government. But we can't see the effect on the lives of people. As we speak, no running water, government running water in Bayelsa, and many other problems. That's one. So that's what a lot of people are saying against the PDP. What have you done to fix all of this, to justify the money received? Secondly, you talked about Udeng's Diri. There's an allegation that the PDP, that the incumbent or the government of the PDP or PDP affiliates gave the Labour Party chairman about 100 million naira to support them. And even the sharing of the money had caused a lot of problems. He said it. He said that's why the Labour Party is not supporting him in the election. When the Labour Party came out to deny it. What's your take on these allegations? So that goes to the question that you don't have fun. At first, why is that with the humongous money you get from federal allocation, we can't still see a show for it in the States?
Well, in any case, when you work with figures without understanding what apparently is on ground, you certainly ask such a question. The fact that comes into the state, you're all aware that our terrain is the most difficult terrain. And what the Prosperity Administration led by Diri has done clearly on ground. Recently, former president came to commission a project. The road network that is in this state, connecting the 3 senatorial road, you know the cost of constructing 1 kilometer road in this terrain. So people might look at figures.
How much is
understanding the prudent management.
How much is it, the cost of constructing 1 kilometer of road in your terrain? How much is it?
No, when you put the Commissioner of Works, when you put him online, he will be able to give you facts and figures. That is clearly not the purview of my party. That particular responsibility is not the purview of the chairman, like I said. So I think when he wants to get facts as figures in terms of what comes in, you bring in the Commissioner of Finance and the Works Ministry. They'll be able to give you justifiable evidence of what you truly want to know concerning resources that come into the state. And as I told you, resources are meant for the development of the state and not for politics. And that's why some of the opposition political candidates are so desperate to want to clinch to power at all costs. So that is not the case with the PDP.
Well,
I also asked another question about the case of 100 million naira. So another allegation. What would you say about that? Can you hear me? I also asked about 100 million naira that I said that the PDP had given to, the Labour Party people to be able to support the PDP in this last election. And that's why even before the election, Diri complained about the fact that he doesn't trust the Labour Party will support him. Can you hear me? We'll take another break.
I can hear you now, please.
Okay, good. I also asked about the 100 million naira allegation by Diri. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, actually, I'm hearing this for the first time from you, Rufai. Udeng's, if he has empirical evidence on how funds flew from my party to him, should be able to tender it. Well, those are the facts. We'll deal with facts. If there are no facts, how do I respond when I have no knowledge on how the monies were given to him? Could you please find out from him how the 100 million naira flew into the Labour Party? Is it transferred by cash? Find out from him. I have no knowledge.
Okay, Mr. Agwana, as chairman of the PDP, Definitely, I mean, you are elated that you've been able to lead your party to victory in the gubernatorial election. But what are your expectations going forward? As a Bayelsa citizen, do you have special expectations in terms of what Governor Diri should do in this second term? And then again, we have had guests on this program to discuss elections in Bayelsa State. And one refrain is that whoever wins, after all, we are all Ijos. But we have seen that emphasis that we are all Ijos is all about brotherhood. It's not exactly true. So it's not just one Ijo won, other Ijos will agree. And that's why you have 7 other political parties, protesting. But what are your expectations?
Well, I think in the victory speech of yesterday, I think he encapsulated all that he had programmed to do for Bayelsans. He has spoken to Bayelsans their immediate needs, which is road infrastructure, security. Because if your environment and the state is not secured, businesses will not thrive. And that is one of the cardinal objectives of this incoming Diri administration. The expectations are enormous because in politics, you cannot apparently tie yourself to one expectation and leave the rest behind. So I think he's going to simultaneously address the immediate needs of our people, which is security, which is environment that will be conducive for business and will attract investors, and to equally connect the 3 senatorial roads. Because this 3 senatorial road project is quite expensive. And I'm sure once he achieves that, there will be a lot of other revenue that will flow in from the private sector. I think the essence of providing good governance is to provide infrastructure and create enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Because government cannot be employer of labor in all the times. They probably will support in some cases. So I think Bayelsans are aware of the good programs that the government has set out to achieve. And that was the reason why they voted for us.
Well, you are talking about what the governor says he wants to do. We had all of that also during the campaign period. I'm talking about your personal expectations, because you know how it happens. Sometimes in a station like this, the governor gets a second term, he has done the first term, and then we keep hearing stories. The chairman of the party would say, now that we have helped him to get there, he doesn't remember us again. He's the only one making all the appointments. I recommended people to him. He didn't take my candidates. What are your expectations?
In fact, my expectation is good governance and equitable distribution of dividends to all Bayelsans. And that's what he's doing.
Okay, you don't want to be involved in appointments, in contracts. You are not interested in appointments, contracts. You will just allow the governor to do as he wishes, give him free hand. The party will not disturb him.
The governor knows those contractors that has capacity and that's proven competence to be able to undertake projects. The governor in this second term will be focusing on human capital development, because we need to improve our human capital development. I think that is one of the priority areas I feel that will be tackled, to try and create equip our people with proper tools and knowledge to be able to drive processes that will enhance development. I think that is my greatest expectation.
Okay. So, Mr. Solomon, Mr. Agwana, in wrapping up, but it's just so sad that the government has not been able to generate internally generated revenue. That's the problem in Bayelsa State. The money is very low that the government is generating.